Brock Purdy. I've done nothing but defend this guy. I've done nothing but give him a bro hug and accost him in a hallway at a VIP section. Danny, you were there.
Yeah.
What's up, Brock?
I feel a butt coming.
I gave him a little bro hug. I've met Brock Purdy. Nice guy.
Didn't you weird him out? You
Danny
accosted him.
Danny thinks that. I think he loved me.
He looks like a scared puppy dog anyway, and you probably freaked him out.
He had a nickname for Rich. Security.
You know what? I'm gonna post a picture at Covino and Rich, and you tell me. I think it's the face of a man that just met another, a new friend. So I've supported Brock Purdy. It's tough shoes to fill because I thought Jimmy G was a solid dude, maybe not a great quarterback. You know me, Niners fan. So this may not come as a surprise or a surprise that I think it is preposterous. It is insanity. It is almost like fool's talk. When I'm hearing the numbers being thrown around for a Brock Purdy contract, I don't know, what guy are you watching? Yo, he's quicker than you think in the pocket. He makes good decisions, not all the time. His arm strength is a little suspect, a little sus. Can't throw the ball downfield. He doesn't have the cannon of a Josh Allen, or he lacks certain things. Probably shouldn't have been Mr. Irrelevant. Iowa Sam, you pointed that out. He had a bad senior year, so his stock plummeted in the draft. Very well could have been a second rounder.
His numbers were good, but the team lost a lot of close games. They were 7-6.
So the thing is, he doesn't have any superstar qualities. That's what really sets him back. But overall, he's a solid quarterback.
He's a solid quarterback. And in fact, when we've done and we won't do it again, when we've said, where does he rank among the 32 quarterbacks in the NFL? We all agreed in the top third. Mm-hmm. Definitely a top half, maybe the top third, right?
Even his TV commercials for cowboy boots are average.
Yeah, personality-wise, he's average. But I would say of 32 NFL teams, I think we all agreed he's between 10 and 15, right? He's top third.
Yeah, probably around 12.
15,
12.
Yeah.
What about last year, though? He was people were talking about MVP. Listen, Brock Purdy's struggles are just a microcosm of the struggles of the Niners.
I mean, that is true.
Oh, and not everybody was talking MVP. Remember all the stuff we saw on FS1 right in front of our faces, Rich?
Nick Young salivates at this.
Because last season, a lot of the narrative was it's because of who's around him. It's not because of him. So he wasn't getting enough credit last season, it felt like.
I feel like Nick Wright was hating on him every day.
Yeah.
But he's still forced to debate Brock Purdy because he'll have games where he has 3 touchdowns, 350 yards, no picks.
Yeah.
And an almost perfect passer rating.
I think Brock Purdy's a really good NFL quarterback. Really good.
He does everything they ask him to do when they have the guys.
When the team is healthy, and if they do come back healthy next year, Ayuk, McCaffrey, Debo, Kittle, Trent Williams, they might be aged. It might be, everyone gets older. But I still think next year the 49ers will be back to the playoff Super Bowl hunt like they were the past 5 years. However, I see the number $65 million a year. Are you on cocaine? Are you snorting lines? What are you doing? Are you shooting heroin in the hallway? What is going on? You think Brock Purdy deserves $65 million a year?
There's a lot of older people. You got to say Quaaludes.
What are you on, Quaaludes?
Are you on Quaaludes?
What is going on?
Valium?
What on earth is going on? I love Brock Purdy. I've supported him. I've backed him up through all the hate and criticism over the years. But when you look at the highest paid quarterbacks,
$65 million for Purdy sets the team back for sure.
It not only sets the team back, but when you look, Covino, at the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL, Dak Prescott, I'm talking about average per year, $60 million. Burrow, $55. Jordan Love, $55. Trevor Lawrence, $55. Tua, $53. Goff, $53. Herbert, 52. Then you go Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts.
Inflation's more than I thought it was. If he's 65 and Burrow's 50, 55, what?
And then
we've talked about it endlessly, Rich, how it's always been the next QB in line, the next guy in line.
But that's got to stop, Danny G.
It does need to stop. And Bill Barnwell, he's the one that was talking about $65 million a year. He wrote, I suggested over the summer that a Purdy deal would come in at 5 years, $325. or $65 million per year. That's still the number that he and his agents are likely targeting.
Well, could it be, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, okay?
Are people smoking the crack rock?
I'm just playing devil's advocate. Do you think that there's a stigma that still stands with him? Because if you take away Mr. Irrelevant and the surprise that Brock Purdy was, and you just focus on what he's actually done in the NFL and where he actually ranks, like you said, Danny G, 12th, maybe it's really where he's at. And it's the fact that we think we have this idea that he should be grateful to be on a team with these superstars. He's Mr. Irrelevant. Maybe he's earned that,
Covino.
Right? And maybe it's the stigma that comes with him that makes you think that he's not worthy and he should snap back to reality. Whoops, there goes gravity.
Covino.
Back to life.
I'm going to give you 3 quarterbacks that
I agree. He's not better than Burrow or anyone you mentioned, but he's up there with the best, and it's always that next guy.
I'm going to give you 3 elite quarterbacks that signed deals a couple years ago, perhaps prematurely based on the market now.
Okay.
Averaging $40 million a year. Matthew Mother effing Stafford, $40 million. Josh Allen, $43 million. Patrick Mahomes, $45 million. I understand Joe Burrow getting 55. I could even argue Jordan Love at 55. The potential is there. He has glimmers where you're like, yo, this is the guy.
Here's the difference.
How can you tell me that?
What was Josh Allen at? 43?
43.
And he's a guy that could make a difference and change a game, right? He's a difference maker, a game changer, as Cam Newton would say, right? That's what he was. That's what Josh Allen is. Brock Purdy isn't that. So I get where you're coming from. I do. He's not that guy. He needs that team around him to win. So it's not that.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me.
You're not that guy.
It's a negotiation, right? So like any negotiation, they have to go high and find a middle ground.
The art of the deal.
It's the art of the deal, right? So just like Pawn Stars or any other goofy show, you're shooting high because Mike Wolf from American Pickers is always going to go somewhere in the middle. So
best I can do
he's going to say 65. And he's probably going to get somewhere around the Joe Burrow area of 50-55.
Listen,
and then that seems fair, doesn't it?
No.
Well, in a market that's always going up, you think he's less than that?
Yes.
Like how much?
All right.
Not everyone that you mentioned is a difference maker.
We're not asking. And listen, this all started by me saying I admire, I respect, and I really enjoy watching Brock Purdy. I'm not asking this dude to get on the bread line like it's a Soviet Union in the 80s.
What did Daniel Jones get again?
I'm talking about giving this guy 45 to 50 mil seems fair for the team, what he brings. And I'm going to go back to something my grandfather always taught me. Oh, Richie. I'd be like, Grandpa, Ken Griffey Jr. card is worth $80. And my grandfather would say, well, buddy, worth $80 if I see someone tell you, here's $80, give me the card. It's only worth what someone's willing to give you. So
he also said that you don't know S from Shinola.
That was his favorite phrase. Why is that old people's favorite phrase?
So,
Daniel Jones got a signing bonus guaranteed $36 million and
36.
an average annual salary of $40 million.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. It was 40.
Yeah.
But like, what? I mean,
it's quarterback inflation.
But,
we have to stop it.
He got 40. He did diddly squat in the NFL. At least Brock Purdy's won some games. I know he hasn't won any, anything major that's going to make you cheer that hard.
He's an NFC champion.
Exactly.
Your star that you and Colin Cowherd sweat, Baker Mayfield.
Stars are stars.
Baker makes what I call the most reasonable, awesome salary.
Stars.
The fact that Baker Mayfield makes roughly $35 million a year, to me, is great for that team. It's great for the salary cap. It's great for Baker. Let's not make it seem like giving a guy $35 million a year is chump change. I'm telling you, Brock Purdy, in my estimation, is a $45 million a year quarterback when guys like Burrow are getting 55 and guys that signed a little too early before the QB inflation are getting in the 40s. Brock Purdy, if you said 4-year, 180, 5-year, 220, give this guy 40-something. He'll be happy the team could keep winning. Tom Brady would always take a little less money. I think the other layer of this, to go back to the lesson my grandfather taught me, only if someone's willing to give it, right? If the 49ers say, yo, Brock, we love that you saved us from the Trey Lance disaster, because people forget about the Trey Lance fail because Brock Purdy was a little gem at the last pick.
Who?
Exactly. If they said, Brock, 45, 48 a year, dude, we'll give you practically $200+ million over 5 years. That's a Mega Millions Powerball jackpot.
He'd have just enough to put food on the table.
We're talking about.
I think it sounds fair, but this is not the business of fair, right? This is the business of trying to get the most you can. It's the agents. They're trying to get the most they can for their client, as any agent would.
And all his, mediocre Toyota commercials, whatever Brock Purdy's doing. Probably.
Hey, how would you feel
boot company or something?
If, when it comes contract time for us, are you going to want what's fair or the most your agent could get for you?
I hope our agent's listening.
I hope he tells his agent, I'll settle for less.
I'm telling my age right now. Ask for the most. Anyway, but
that's really what's going on. It's not like Purdy's the bad guy.
And they make it about a talk show host. Make it about any
Purdy
job.
though, if Purdy tells his agent, I don't need to take a max deal, then maybe they can stop this quarterback inflation.
Let's bring up one other layer and then we'll move on.
I think it's a fair discussion, Rich, but I think there's some unfairness because Brock Purdy doesn't come with that superstar flair about him.
Guess what?
And I think you're holding that against him.
Guess what? Not everyone does, and whatever you do for a living. My final point, I think, is the best point of all. I should have maybe led with it.
No, save the best for last, man. You're like Vanessa Williams.
Danny G. I know Dan Byer gave me a couple teams the other day that would want Brock Purdy. But give me an NFL team that would want Brock Purdy at $65 million. There's teams that would take Brock Purdy.
Yeah, could answer that question.
Yeah, I was going to say
quickly.
There are teams that would take Brock Purdy, no diggity, no doubt. But tell me a team that would take Brock Purdy with a $65 million price tag.
No.
You would take Purdy at 45 if you're the Giants or some of the teams he named, the Saints. There's teams that would take Brock Purdy for the right price. But no one on God's green earth.
Well, I knew that was coming. I knew it.
Would pay Brock Purdy $65 million a year.
Yeah, you've been arguing about 45. You could make an argument for $50 million a year, but he is not worth resetting the market for the position.
Danny,
what do you think, Danny G? Where do you put him? But you're also you're not basing him on the market. You're basing him on the skill level compared to what these other stars are making, and that's not how it's been at all.
Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, some of the stars that signed contracts recently are in the 50s. You're right. We should not. I love what you said. Danny G nailed it. We shouldn't be even. We shouldn't continue to reset the quarterback market on Brock Purdy.
And that's coming from a 49ers fan.
All right, now listen. If he won the Super Bowl last year in Kansas City, I'm sorry, in Vegas against Kansas City, and if Purdy was the reason, fourth quarter, big play, and this year the Niners were playoff bound again. Now you're talking, but he lost the Super Bowl. Without his star players around them, they're under 500. They're under 500.
His value is down. Yeah.
So you can't. I mean,
a little bit.
Under different circumstances, had the Niners won the World Series, Jesus, I'm losing my mind. Had the Niners won the Super Bowl last year, and the 49ers were 12-2, like the Vikings or Lions, and the Niners were headed back to the playoffs, then you'd say, man, Purdy. But right now, I'll take Sam Darnold for 40.
Sam Darnold's playing for 10 right now. 10 mil.
I'll take Sam Darnold.
That's a steal, huh?
I'll take Sam Darnold.
No, guess what? You had Sam Darnold.
For 5.
Yeah.
By the way, Rich, speaking of the Niners winning the World Series, did you see how much that Freddie Freeman Grand Slam ball went for at auction?
How much?
$1.56 million.
Wow,
that's
awesome,
see that.
man.
And I don't think I saw even who bought it. Isaac, do you know who bought the Freddie Freeman ball?
Yeah, our boss, Don. You took
the words right out of my mouth. Good one.
Yeah, Don Martin, I think, bought it. Who knows? Maybe Steve Cohen, just so we could throw it out or something. All I'm saying, we can move on. Brock Purdy, not worth $65 million, but a great guy, great quarterback, great role model for kids, great everything. I think 45's fine. 65? Are you out of your mind?
$20 million off the mark. That's a lot. So good luck negotiating.
But isn't there in anything in life? Isn't there like the point where it's like, well, that's too much? Like you're taking your daughter, not to put your business out there, but you're taking your daughter to a Broadway show when you go to New York, right?
Yeah.
You paid a lot for tickets.
It was a surprise until you mentioned it on national radio.
Well, good thing she doesn't care about anything Dad does.
Good thing she's not listening.
But you're going to take her to a nice Broadway show in New York City.
Yeah.
Tickets were not cheap.
No.
If tickets were thousands, you would have been like, yeah, sorry, we're not going. Because everyone has a point where they're like, yeah, I'm just not going to pay that.
Everyone has a limit, yeah.
Everyone has a limit. And
Yep.
I don't know how it's not the limit. $65 million, get out of here. The end.